Hello and welcome back to the shop. Today I'll be reviewing the Harbor Freight 4" by 36" belt sander. Stay tuned. Alright, so this is the 4" by 36" belt sander from Harbor Freight. Let's get this out of the way. This is not a high quality belt sander. It is the absolute cheapest 4" by 36" belt sander on the market. The only sander cheaper than this is Harbor Freight's 1" by 30" belt sander. It's the only one that's cheaper. I got this for, I believe it was $54.99 on sale when I bought it, so a little over $60 with tax, which for what you get is really not a bad deal as long as you know what you're buying. You are buying a underpowered machine, and it works, but it leaves a little to be desired. So first, let's go over things that I like about it. The main thing I like is it is an all-metal bodied construction. So no plastic in the casing, and the belt housing, the on and off switch, the motor housing. All that seems to be relatively good quality. It is a steel. It's not the thickest steel, but it's still all metal, which is not always easy to find these days. The disc sander that comes with it, I didn't like it at first, but I have found myself using it more and more for doing things like truing up the width of knife blanks that I like to forge my knife blanks, so they're not anywhere close to perfectly even. So this is nice for just evening out that width. Alright, so issues I had with it when I first bought it. The belt was very loose, the motor was too far forward, so I did have to move that back in order to get good tension on the belt. Because at first, my belt was so loose that if I touched my sanding belt with my finger, I could actually stop it. And obviously you're not going to get any work done like that. Other thing I did not like when I first purchased it is the back of the belt was covered up with this case. Okay? Now I ended up taking that off. It doesn't serve any purpose at all, and it ends up really just getting in the way. If you want to be able to change grits of your belts quickly, which I do because my main use for this belt sander is to grind knives. So I took that casing off so you can switch them easily. So now you just loosen the lever and you can slide the belt on or off. And it makes it a lot better. The belt sander also came with a little table, which actually I was surprised at the quality of it. It's not the nicest thing in the world, but hey, it's not a bad feature either. You can mount it on the side, on the front of the 4" by 36" belt, or on the side of the disc sander. I don't really use this because I find it's a little too big for my needs, and it doesn't quite get close enough to the belt or the disc to be useful to me. So power aside, I'm actually pretty pleased with it. I have modified it a little bit. Once I tightened the belt up, I noticed that their sanding belt tensioning system, which is it just moves this roller up and down with this little lever. Now I noticed once I got the slack out of the drive belt, it would actually tighten the sanding belt too much, and it was overheating the bearings, and it actually warped the case. It got so hot, and I had to hammer it back into place. So I added a little stopper right here, so it only goes down until the stop, and that I have found, it took some playing around with, that is the sweet spot for this specific sander to get enough power going where it won't stall also. The other thing I did to modify it was I cut notches in the casing itself. So for knife blades, I can get in there and I can create a plunge line, which is you can't really do if you don't have a way to get in there real deep with your knife blank. And the other modification I did was I made a little cross table out of some just leftover steel, piece of angle iron and a piece of little flat bar. I cut a slot in, which hooks up to the factory case holes. So I'm just reusing their threads and their bolt. But that's nice because I can get in there and sand my bevels nice and even with even pressure across the belt. That's why I did that. So overall, I'm rather pleased with it after I modified it. Before I modified it, those very simple modifications, without them, I was never going to get anything done. I also leave the belt housings case off because just in case I need to tighten the belt, I don't got to take all these little bolts off all over again. 'Cause they were very small, very hard to get on straight, and the case was not, it didn't line up quite right. It was always warped and everything, so I'd rather just skip it. Alright, so let's get some action shots of using this little sander to grind a knife blank. Now this is an oversized, funny looking knife that I started, but nothing special. 1084 steel. I cut this one out just for demonstration purposes to show you guys. No, nothing special. So we'll turn it on. And it definitely works. It just takes a while on this guy because it is a weak sander. So I find starting with steep angles and just slowly going up the knife until I establish my plunge line and get my full flat grind that I prefer myself, that'll get the job done. Now it takes a while, so don't try to hog off a lot of material on this sander. Take your time, use new belts, and you will get the job done. I recommend buying on Amazon.com. You can find several brands that offer variety packs of different belts. So you'll pay like 30 bucks, and I think this company was called Lenovo that I bought from. And I got 6 aluminum oxide belts for $30, which is not bad at all. But the thing I liked about it was it came with a large variety of grits. It came with an 80 grit, 120 grit, 240 grit, 320 grit, 800 and 1000, something like that. And using this Harbor Freight belt sander in combination with these belts, I have been able to produce some great knives. This was a knife I forged from a coil spring, and I did the flat grind on the Harbor Freight belt sander. I polished it on the belt sander. I did all the fine detail work on the handle with the belt sander. So all in all, it's the cheapest one on the market, but you really can't go wrong with it. It'll do the job. Just let it have its time. It's going to take a while. Don't expect to bust out a knife in a day. It'll take a while, but you can get great results using this sander. Alright, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.